What if I told you? A newlywed couple once tried to conquer the Grand Canyon, and the canyon simply erased them. No wreckage, no bodies, no goodbye, just a boat, floating, alone. If you've ever rafted the Colorado River, you know that feeling, the silence, the scale, how small you become. Now imagine doing it in 1928. No GPS, no helicopters, no satellite phones, just wood, river, confidence. This is the disappearance of Glenn Hyde and Bessie Hyde. And the question that still haunts the canyon: what happened to them? October 1928. Glenn was 20 years old, ambitious, competitive, obsessed with speed records. Bessie was 22, adventurous, fearless, determined to make history. This wasn't just a honeymoon, it was a publicity stunt. They wanted to break the Colorado River speed record and make Bessie the first woman to successfully run the canyon. Their boat? A 20-foot wooden sweep scow, heavy, high-sided, built by Glenn himself. Not a raft, a floating box. Then, silence. Weeks passed. On December 6th, searchers spotted something. Their boat, upright, intact, supplies still inside, food untouched, blankets dry, even Bessie's diary still there. But Glenn and Bessie were gone. No blood, no damage, no sign of struggle. It was as if they had simply stepped out of existence. Theory 1. They drowned. They hit a rapid. They were thrown overboard. The boat drifted free. The Colorado in November is deadly cold. Cold shock can paralyze you in seconds. No helmets, no dry suits, no rescue kayakers waiting below. If you fell into the wrong hydraulic, you didn't swim out, you vanished. Bodies in the canyon don't always resurface. Some remain trapped beneath boulders forever. Theory 2. Murder. In the 1920s, people lived deep inside the canyon. Miners, drifters, hermits. One prospector later claimed he killed them, then took it back. No proof, no evidence. But imagine this. You're camped in total darkness, miles from anyone. If someone approaches your fire that night, who would hear you? Theory 3. They tied off the boat and tried to climb out. From below, the canyon walls look climbable. Halfway up, they become vertical death traps. One slip, one broken ankle, one wrong ledge, and the desert keeps you. Nearly 100 years later, no bodies have ever been found. Not a bone, not a scrap of clothing, just a wooden boat, drifting quietly in the canyon. A honeymoon that never ended. And a reminder, the Grand Canyon is not evil. It's indifferent. It doesn't chase you. It doesn't hunt you. It simply exists. And if you miscalculate, it keeps what you give it. So what do you think happened? A rapid, a killer, a fatal climb, or something we haven't even considered? Comment your theory below, because down there, anything can disappear. But here's where the story becomes even stranger. Because Glenn and Bessie were not reckless amateurs. They had already completed large sections of the Green River before entering the canyon. And according to letters they mailed home, they were ahead of schedule, confident, organized, optimistic. The last verified sighting of the Hydes came from river runners Elzada Clover and Lois Jotta, two botanists studying plant life in the canyon. They passed the Hydes on November 18th, 1928, and later reported that the couple seemed calm, not frightened, not struggling, just focused. That detail matters because it suggests whatever happened, happened suddenly. When searchers found the boat on December 6th, they made detailed notes. The scow was tied up neatly, not smashed against rocks, not tangled in debris, tied, as if someone had secured it intentionally. Inside the boat they found food supplies, tools, personal belongings, and Bessie's diary. Her final entries described routine days, mild rapids, normal travel. Nothing dramatic, nothing alarming, no goodbye. Investigator later wrote, "If they drowned, it was clean and total, because there were no drag marks, no broken equipment, no shredded clothing, just absence." Now here's a lesser-known fact. The Hydes were attempting to beat the speed record set by river runner Bert Loper. Loper himself later searched for them, and he publicly stated that he believed they drowned in a rapid. He argued that the scow's high sides made it unstable in powerful hydraulics, and if it surfed sideways in a rapid, it could eject both occupants instantly. The boat, lighter without them, could then right itself downstream. That explanation is possible, but it still doesn't explain one thing: why the boat was neatly secured. Then there's the Louis Monge confession. In 1971, decades after the disappearance, a man named Louis R. Monge reportedly confessed on his deathbed to killing them. He claimed he attacked them during a robbery attempt, but later investigations found no supporting evidence, no matching timeline, no physical proof, and some believe he simply wanted notoriety. False confessions aren't uncommon, especially in unsolved cases. There's also terrain evidence. Modern river historians have examined River Mile 232 to 240, the stretch where the boat was found. Several rapids there are chaotic but survivable. However, if someone fell into a recirculating hydraulic in cold November water, exhaustion would come fast. And in 1928, there were no downstream safety teams, no emergency extraction, no second attempt. But here's the chilling truth about the Grand Canyon. It does not easily return bodies. Currents push victims beneath boulders. Flood cycles bury remains in sediment. Flash floods reshape entire beaches overnight. There are modern cases where rafters disappeared and were never recovered, even with helicopters, even with sonar, even with trained rescue divers. Now imagine 1928. One more detail often overlooked. Bessie couldn't swim well. That fact appears in correspondence from friends. If she fell into violent whitewater, panic would have set in immediately, and Glenn likely would have tried to save her. Two people in cold hydraulic water. Rarely both survive. And so the most widely accepted conclusion among river historians today is simple. They drowned. Not dramatically, not violently, just quickly, swept beneath the surface, and claimed by a river that has done the same to many others. But emotionally, the human mind struggles with clean disappearances. We want wreckage. We want closure. We want evidence. Instead, we got a boat, floating, silent, and two names that never came home. Nearly a century later, the disappearance of Glenn and Bessie Hyde remains officially unsolved. Not because there aren't theories, but because there are no bodies. And in the canyon, sometimes that's all it takes to become a legend. Here's the part that makes this story uncomfortable, because Glenn and Bessie Hyde were not the last people to disappear in the Grand Canyon, not even close. In 2016, a commercial rafting guide vanished after entering a rapid on the Colorado River. He was experienced, trained, wearing modern safety gear. Search teams responded immediately. Helicopters scanned the canyon from above. Divers searched below. Rescue crews combed the shoreline. They never recovered his body. In 2021, another rafter was thrown from a boat during high water conditions. Again, modern equipment, rapid response, GPS tracking, and still, the river kept him for days before releasing him miles downstream. Sometimes it doesn't release at all. The Colorado River has claimed dozens of lives over the past century, even with life jackets, helmets, emergency beacons, satellite communication, and highly trained guides. Now rewind to 1928. No dry suits, no radios, no rescue helicopters, just two newlyweds in a heavy wooden boat inside one of the most unforgiving landscapes on Earth. Here's what modern river experts agree on. Cold water shock can disable a strong adult in under a minute. Exhaustion follows quickly. In powerful hydraulics, the river doesn't just push you downstream. It holds you, circulates you, pins you beneath submerged rock. And if the current buries you under debris, you may never resurface. Not because it's mysterious, but because it's physics. And that's what makes the high disappearance so haunting. It doesn't require a killer. It doesn't require a conspiracy. It only requires a single mistake, in a place where mistakes are permanent. But emotionally, we resist that explanation, because drowning is ordinary, and this story doesn't feel ordinary. A honeymoon, a speed record, a wooden boat found perfectly intact. It feels like it should mean more, like there should be a final message, a warning, a trace. Instead, there's silence. The Grand Canyon doesn't care about ambition. It doesn't care about love stories. It doesn't care about records. It has outlived explorers, miners, tourists, and legends. And it will outlive us. Nearly 100 years later, Glenn Hyde, Bessie Hyde, still officially missing, still somewhere within those walls. Or maybe exactly where the river left them. If you've ever stood at the bottom of the canyon and looked up at those towering cliffs, you know the feeling. The silence is heavy, the scale is overwhelming, and the river below you never stops moving. Maybe that's the real ending. Not a mystery, not a murder, just a reminder that some places on Earth are bigger than us. And sometimes they keep what we give them. What do you believe happened? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more real mysteries rooted in history, subscribe, because the next one is just as unsettling.